Salut, mesdames et messieurs, and welcome back to We the Revolution, a narrative video game set during the height of the French Revolution, which casts you in the role of a judge on the Revolutionary Tribunal under the authority of the Committee for Public Safety. Now, I want to take an opportunity here at the start of this episode to sort of apologize to you guys, because I think one thing I failed to do sort of over the first couple of episodes of this Let's Play is to sort of try and give you guys a proper historical context of what is going on here. Where are we? Who are we? What are we doing? Sort of just taking it for granted that you guys would know, and that's not necessarily going to be the case, so I'm going to try my best to lay it out here before we start this episode off proper. Anyway, we are in the height of the French Revolution. My best estimate is that we are in late 1793. We haven't quite embarked upon the terror yet. King Louis the 16th is still alive, to the best that I can tell in the game. In fact, he even attended one of our earlier cases. And really, we are a judge called Alexis Fidel. Alexis Fidel. I can't. That last name does sort of give me trouble. Fidel. Alexis Fidel is my best guess at how you pronounce his name. Who was a bit of a drunk and gambler, but also a judge on the Revolutionary Tribunal. And the Revolutionary Tribunal is sort of appointed or set up by the Committee for Public Safety, which has been set up to safeguard the revolution from threats, both outside and inside. And there were quite a lot of threats. I mean, a lot of the terror and the mass executions were driven by paranoia, but it was actually a somewhat understandable and reasonable paranoia, because more or less everyone wanted to destroy the nascent republic and the achievements that it had made. France had overthrown its old regime, its king, its aristocracy, its world order, as it were. And this set a panic into pretty much every other major European power, because, of course, kings only have power so long as the people afford them that power. And so every king became terrified at the thought that French revolutionary zeal would spread to their people. And so very quickly, countries like Austria, Austria-Hungary and so forth began to look for ways to declare war on the young French Republic, and to subvert it at every turn. And there were even elements within France as well, of course, which resisted the reforms and the revolution, and which were loyal to the Ancien regime and to King Louis. So there were enemies both within and without of France, who all sought to destroy the revolution. Now, our job as judge of the Revolutionary Tribunal is to protect the revolution from its enemies, and one of the main tools of doing that is by sending those enemies to be guillotined. Now, today, the man we have before us on the docket is the former commander of the National Guard, a man we actually authorized to use deadly force, and who then proceeded to use that deadly force against protesters in a massacre, which I assume is why he's on the docket today. That does have the promise of becoming quite messy, because our hands are quite bloody in that, because we actually signed the letter that gave him that authority. So really, I think what we want to do, what Alexei would do here, just judging from his the character as it comes across to me, is he would probably try and set Burel up as the scapegoat. That would be convenient both for Alexei, it would be convenient for the National Convention, and it would be convenient for the the Committee of Public Safety, because it would put all the blame on one person. He would be the fall guy. That is sort of the easy way out. So that's probably going to be the outcome we're going to aim for. Now, the committee does prefer just sending him to prison. Both the people and their family want to see him guillotined. No one wants to see him acquitted. Let's see, we have a couple of new characters who have popped up, it looks like. Roland, the Minister of Internal Affairs. Thanks to his resourceful wife, who controls his career from the shadows, he has gained a position in the government and become a prominent member of the Girondins. He does not hide his support of the monarchy, maintaining that it will create balance between a bloody revolution and the tradition that unites all French generations. We've got the lady. A courtesan known in every nook of Paris that is worth mentioning. A lady of leisure born in Scotland and living in Paris as an alleged spy for the English. In order to survive, she has been forced to master diplomacy like one of the deputies of the National Convention. There is no doubt that her profession has helped her establish relationships. It is unofficially said that if an aristocrat wants to escape from Paris, that Grace Elliott is the one to speak to. It seems fairly evident that she'll end up on our docket before long then. Okay, let's have a look at the case file, which has been compiled by Fabrice Bouli. In the dock sits Mathieu Burel, the former Commander-in-Chief of the National Guard. The defendant stands accused of causing the death of 34 people who took part in a demonstration against monarchic authority. Around 3 p.m., two spontaneous groups of protesters stumbled upon each other in one of the streets leading to Place Vendôme. A quarrel broke out between the supporters and opponents of Citizen Capet, that would be Louis XVI, the king, with both sides engaged in a heated argument. None of the involved parties managed to gain the upper hand, and they quickly resorted to name-calling and public threats. Soon after, a National Guard detachment, led by the defendant, arrived on the scene. According to the eyewitness testimony of Blaise Faussé, Commander-in-Chief Mathieu Burel stood himself between the two groups, alone, and attempted to talk sense into them. He was quickly shouted down by the protesters. A few of them vocally accused the Commander-in-Chief of violating their freedom of speech. A rock flew over Burel's head. He then walked up to the regiment that until this point had stood away from the crowds. The Commander-in-Chief ordered them to load their muskets and aim at the protesters. He shouted to the mob that they should leave, which the people of France, of course, ignored. Then, as Faussé testified, another rock barely missed his head. This time, it managed to hit one of the soldiers in the chest, leaving him breathless for a moment. Burel ordered the troops to fire. Bullets reached 34 people in total on both sides of the protest. During his arrest, Burel had tried to explain that he had the tribunal's opinion, which stated he could use force if needed. He tried to defend himself with similar opinions from the convention. Prosecutor Tonville did not care for such explanations, and his fiery speech convinced the deputies to dismiss him. Now he is trying to convince the judge to impose an additional punishment. Okay. So let's go about digging out the questions. That would be his defense. That would be the paper we handed him. Causing death, that would be the accusation against him. So with suppression of freedom of speech, that would be part of the cause of events. So would his dismissal. That's extenuating circumstances. That's part of his personality. Also, yeah. His also part of his defense. Well, that went pretty well. We got all the questions. No faults, no mistakes. So let's start the interrogation. The defendant may introduce himself. We all know who the villain is. Mathieu Burel, Commander-in-Chief of the National Guard, and... Shut up already! Let us proceed directly to the testimony. You stay condemned, aware of the severity of the charges. You understand that 34 citizens were killed. Those that were killed were aggressors who dared to attack a soldier. All 34 of them. No. He was hit by a rock thrown by a single person. But before that, another rock flew over my head. I had reason to believe that the mob would become violent. But that's exactly why you were sent there. To prevent violence. And I did. Several people died, but the rest of the citizens are safe. This Commander-in-Chief is a real piece of work. He's not Commander-in-Chief anymore. Still a bastardo. Yeah, let's summon in the witness. Summon the witness. Please, introduce yourself. Bless vous, monsieur le juge. I'm a simple blacksmith. Citoyen, do you confirm being a witness of the events that are the cause of our gathering today? Yes, I was a witness. I was there. I saw everything and I want to talk about it. I really do. Please, tell us if you saw exactly how the accused acted during these events. Yes, of course, that's why I'm here. I saw it. The captain... he's a captain, right? Go on. He stood between the people and started yelling at them. If someone came up to him, he pushed them away and made threats, shaking his fist. But I think he meant well. Why do you think that? I don't know, just a feeling I had. Who attacked first? The crowd or the guard? I'd say the crowd. They threw something at that poor soldier. And after that? Well, they started shooting. Wait, there was no order? I didn't hear any orders. It was loud and it all happened so fast. Well, that's interesting. That did bring the bar down a bit for him. Does the accused not think that the order to load muskets may have been issued too early? Why? Because it could have further aggravated the crowd that was already outraged. The people of Paris have an ugly history of impaling heads on pikes. I had a sizable mob before me that was quite obviously ready to attack us at any moment. No, the order was not issued too early. More than that, we should have started shooting as soon as we arrived instead of wasting our time trying to calm them down. So, you believe in brute force rather than diplomacy? If diplomacy had any chance of success in this situation, deputies of the convention would have been sent instead of the guard. Yet, none of them decided to show up. I wonder why. You know, this case really is quite reminiscent of the Boston Massacre, isn't it? Where British redcoats and opened fire on American protesters. Very similar. Certainly to me it is. Why did the citoyens stand between the fighting groups? I know for a fact that you can decrease tension with reason and mediation of a third party. I was not involved with either of the groups. Wait. Do you mean to say you are not a supporter of the revolution? During these events, I was a soldier and an officer, first and foremost. I could not allow myself the comfort of having political views. Why? The security of the people was the most important thing. Citizens from surrounding houses first, protesters second. Since we are far beyond those events, I take this lack of a clear answer as evidence of your support for the monarchy. I've always remained loyal to France and her people. Yeah, there's not quite an answer there. If anything, that just goes further towards suggesting your monarchist sympathies, I think. What words did you use when addressing the crowd? I asked them for a moment of silence. Then, when they were quiet, why they were fighting. That's when the peace ended and both sides started throwing accusations. Maybe you shouldn't have intervened. Maybe you only agitated the crowd more. How? By asking for a moment of silence? Did you say anything else? I was trying to shout over the crowd. Someone accused me of being a spy, trying to silence them and suppress their freedom of speech. Was that your aim? My aim was to prevent bloodshed. As you can see, it was impossible. How was one of your soldiers injured? He was hit in the chest with a rock. He fell and, for a moment, could not catch his breath. Did you try to calm the crowd after the incident? Prosecutor, you must be joking. Why do you say that? They wanted blood. Their own or ours. It did not matter, they just wanted it spilled. And you gave them what they wanted? I had good reason, and a document in my hand. I was also responsible for the lives of my subordinates. You chose to take people's lives. Did that document come from God? Do you see yourself as a reckless commander? No. I think I am calm most of the time. It comes with age and experience. Yet, you stood between two hostile groups without any guards. That indicates something quite different. That is called bravery. I would not send a regular soldier. I risk my own life and also hope that seeing a high-ranking officer would make them come to their senses. So it did not work. No, it had the opposite effect. There is no way I could have expected the outcome. But you were there to expect exactly such an outcome. I'm wondering why it seems like there are only women in the crowd of onlookers today. Actually, that seems a bit suspicious to me. Were you given a reason for your dismissal? Multiple reasons. I will not address all of them, but the one that wounded me the most was my supposed incompetence. You caused the death of. Many people have died during the revolution, and yet the murderers are members of the convention, or judges of the tribunals. The accused should choose his words more carefully. That is slander, a tool of the monarchist machine. Spare me your speeches. If you had any decency left in you, you would remain silent. If we let you go, would you go back to your duty? No. Now I can see that being a scapegoat is the best I could have hoped for here. A deputy or a judge makes a mistake, so they convict a soldier. That is how it has always been, and how it will always be. Let's behead a politician! Yeah, no, we're not gonna delve into that document. That's not gonna be good for us at all. I'm just gonna pretend it never happened, I think. So let's see. The jury wants him dead. The people want him dead. Our family want him dead. The revolutionaries, they want him in jail. Or the committee wants him in jail, rather. Yeah, it's gonna be a huge hit with the revolutionaries. It's gonna be a hit with the people. Take a hit with the people. You know, that's really odd, though. The hit with the people is smaller for the acquittal than it is for sending him to prison. That's really odd to me. No, we're not gonna do either of those. We're gonna send him to the guillotine. He's gonna have to fall on his sword. Because we made a mistake and gave him the right to use lethal force. Which he then exercised. So yeah. Well. Stamp it there. No, he was quite defiant. But it wasn't really counter-revolutionary. His reason was incompetence. And it was... They're missing the word street here, I think. Should be a street leading to Place Vendôme. Vendôme. Right. Fidèle. I hereby sentence Mathieu Burel to death by guillotine. The souls of the victims may now rest in peace. Let him share the fate of those he shot. Okay, reputation is up, influence is up. Our reputation with the committee did take a hit, though. Oh, yeah. -8. Maybe I could win the heart of the crowd. Guillotine. Earn the favor of the crowd by delivering a speech, or proceed directly to the execution. Remember, once you start your speech, there is no going back. An awkward or clumsy speech will earn you nothing but ridicule from the audience. Depending on your reputation, the crowd will be more or less aggressive. So, okay, I have no real idea how this works. Skip the speech or speak to the common folk. Before attempting persuasion, you may explore different approaches to all the topics of the conversation. After employing every kind of emotion, you will receive an evaluation of your choices. Each attitude comes with a set of emotions that can have a positive and a negative impact. Learn their effects to manipulate the people of Paris in any way you please. The higher your reputation, the more you know about the other speaker's attitudes. You can also obtain this information by spending influence points. So that would be... I mean, it would seem bullheaded. Should be met with aggression, maybe? I have no idea, though. Okay, those two are good, but that one isn't. Okay, so we can't cancel that. Well, I mean... Future generations will remember that we were not cowards. They will remember us delivering punishment for such hideous crimes. I'm going to pick. Give a round of applause for the plague killed for nothing. You have gained power in France. Now spill the blood of those who oppose the Republic. Hey, that didn't go so bad. Reputation went up by 3. Your scapegoat will die so that you can walk free. I wonder if your conscience will let you sleep at night. Pull the rope! For the revolution! Adieu, Commandant Burel. He's ours. There can be no more demeaning experience for revolutionary Paris than the escape of Citizen Capet. He escaped, slipped right from their hands, and the revolution now seems feeble and weak. The people resemble a child that could easily be duped by anyone. However, the Republic quickly composed itself thanks to a postmaster and his people, who were able to catch the fugitives escaping to Montmedy. Ordinary citizens led to the fall of a monarch. You will have a chance to serve the Republic as well, for Citizen Capet will face the tribunal tomorrow. You will choose how he will be remembered. As a traitor and a coward, or as an unlucky statesman. If it were for the prison guards to decide, there would be only one outcome. Allow the guards to rough up Citizen Capet in prison. Leave him alone until the trial. No, we can't. I mean, he's the king. We can't just... Even if he is sort of put on equal terms with us from the revolution, as a status symbol, we cannot allow him to be bruised and battered when he enters the courtroom. No. That won't do it all. No, we need him pristine. Well, we got a little bit of a boost. Grandfather won't, or my father would not enjoy the viola concerto. You take your family for an evening stroll around Paris. You will let your father stretch his old bones a little. Bernard needs to learn how to deal with stage fright if he wants to be a professional musician. You will have to endure an hour of racket. Yeah, let's let him have his concerto, I think. Okay, now that is quite a trial we have before us now. That's King Louis. I think it's best if we stop today's episode here, because this is gonna get really intense, I think, from here on out. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope I was able to provide some additional context. If you want to know more or if you have questions, please do feel free to ask them in the comment section. Or if you have any feedback, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll join me for the next episode when we'll get to try Louis XVI of France and possibly send him to the guillotine. Or maybe reverse history and acquit him, who knows. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please take care. Bye-bye.